Hello everyone, Oscar Recap is here, and today we are going to talking about an action thriller film called Constantine. Be ready for some spoilers ahead.
The movie begins somewhere in a South American desert. Two men are excavating ruins when one of them discovers an old spearhead wrapped in a Nazi flag. The man ignores his friend's call and begins to walk away before being struck by a car. The car is crushed, but a mark appears on his hand clutching the spear, and he walks away as if nothing happened. Meanwhile, in a Los Angeles apartment, a woman is making tea when she notices her daughter is possessed in her bedroom. Father Hennessy, a priest who had attempted to exorcise the young girl himself but had failed, summons a professional exorcist named John Constantine to the scene. He enters the girl's room where she is tied down to her bed. John begins his exorcism by putting a talisman on the girl's forehead and muttering an incantation, but after the girl stops struggling, he sees a silhouette of a demon trying to break out from inside her throat. He immediately asks for the girl's family to help him by holding a mirror above the girl. It confines the demon within the mirror, which he intends to throw out the window before the demon escapes. Despite their efforts, it is eventually thrown outside and lands on John's taxi. The girl is successfully exorcised, but John notices a drawing on the wall that resembles the Spear of Destiny, which was the spear that was found in the desert earlier. He tells Father Hennessy that there's something wrong with this exorcism and he wants Hennessy to use his powers to find out if there's something unusual going on. John leaves the apartment and gets into the cab he arrived in, which is driven by his apprentice Chaz. Elsewhere in the city, an LAPD detective named Angela Dodson is in a confession booth. She confesses that she killed another criminal at her job, and she wonders how she could know where they are and when to exactly pull the trigger every time. She fears she might be damned, but the priest assures her that God has a plan for her. Angela returns home that night, and while she sleeps, she dreams of someone whispering the name Isabel. In the dream, she's walking through a hospital towards the roof, removing her patient's tag and letting it go before she jumps. She smashes through a glass roof and into a pool, floating for a bit before she jolts awake. The following day, John is admitted to the hospital and informed that he has terminal lung cancer and that he does not have much time left. In the same hospital, Angela arrives at a suicide scene from her dream to find that the victim is her twin sister, Isabel. Though Isabel was a mental patient in the hospital and there was no indication of foul play, Angela insists that her sister would never kill herself because she's a devout Catholic. Back in John's apartment, a friend named Beeman drops by with some items that will help him with his job. The items are bullet shavings from an assassination attempt on the Pope, holy water from the River of Jordan, and a screech beetle that repels demons. John tells Beeman about the demon soldier he exorcised from the girl who was attempting to enter the human realm. Beeman is surprised because demons aren't supposed to be able to enter humans' physical realm. John asks Beeman to look into the phenomenon before he and Chaz go to a church. He meets Angela, who is begging the priest to give Isabel a Catholic funeral, but he refuses because she committed suicide, which is a mortal sin. Meanwhile, John goes to talk to an angel named Gabriel, who he refers to as a half-breed. John tells her about the unusual exorcism and wants to ask God to extend his life so he can figure out what's wrong, but Gabriel only laughs at him. She thinks that John's determination to be accepted into heaven when he dies is a lost cause because no matter how many demons he banished, it's not self-sacrifice because he's doing it for his benefit. One must also have belief in God, and while John knows of his existence, John doesn't believe in his powers. Meanwhile, Father Hennessy is using his power to scan through a stack of newspapers while hearing whispers. He hears someone calling out to Isabel and grabs a newspaper article about her suicide. At home, Angela is reviewing the tape of Isabel's suicide and hears her muttering the name, Constantine. Outside, John is coughing on a sidewalk when he is attacked by an insect-covered demon. It warns John not to mess with demons before John uses the screeching beetle to repel it. It eventually gets hit and obliterated by a passing car. John decides to go to Midnight's nightclub and meets with the owner, Papa Midnight, who is a neutral party in the occult world. John tells him about the demons trying to cross into the mortal realm, which Midnight says is impossible because of the pact made by heaven and hell to maintain balance. John wants to use something he calls the chair, but Midnight is against it. Their conversation is interrupted by a demonic half-breed named Balthazar. He insults John, who threatens to exorcise him back to hell, but Midnight won't allow any hostilities inside his nightclub. Not getting any answers, John goes home where he is later visited by Angela. She tracked him down because she thinks John might be able to help him solve her sister's death. Because she is a devout Catholic and would never consider suicide, she believes that Isabel was brainwashed into taking her own life. John declines to assist her, but as Angela walks away, he notices shadows pursuing her. He chases her down and claims that her case is related to the one he's looking into. He tries to explain how heaven and hell exist in realms parallel to the human world, but Angela doesn't believe him. The power goes out unexpectedly, and shadows surround them. John lights up a cloth, exposing and banishing the many demons that surround them. Angela is taken aback by what she has witnessed, but John believes they are after Angela and that Isabel may be involved. To investigate, John must find Isabel's soul in hell. They head to Angela's apartment for the ritual. John dips his feet in a basin of water, tells Angela to leave the apartment, and establishes a connection with Isabel through her cat. Time slows down to a stop and John is transported into hell. He prepares the holy water that he needs to escape before walking around to find Isabel. She calls out to John from the top of the roof before removing her patient's tag from her marked hand. John runs to get the tag while the demons start to surround him. He grabs it and smashes the vial of holy water to return to the human realm. Angela rushes inside and John confirms that her sister really killed herself before presenting the tag that he took. Meanwhile, Hennessy goes to the morgue to check Isabel's corpse. He grabs her arm to read into her memories, but instead, he hears voices as a mark appears on Isabel's wrist. Hennessy tries to drink from his flask, but nothing comes out. He frantically rushes to a liquor store and tries to drink from a few bottles, but none of the alcohol comes out. Balthazar walks in not long before Hennessy falls to the floor. The priest takes a corkscrew and stabs his hand multiple times before choking on some liquid. It seems that the liquid not coming out is only an illusion made by Balthazar. Later, John explains to Angela that he could see demons and other beings as a kid and how he killed himself and was declared dead for 2 minutes before he was brought back. Since time moves slow in hell, John felt like he had been there for a lifetime. He explains that angels and demons can't come into the human realm, but they're half-breeds like Gabriel and Balthazar can. They whisper to humans to influence them to do good and evil things. It's been John's job to banish misbehaving demon half-breeds in hopes of earning his way into heaven. Angela says that Isabel used to be able to see things too when they were kids, then she receives a call from her colleague. They head to the scene where Hennessy has died due to alcohol poisoning, and John sees the mark that Hennessy stabbed onto his hand. John takes a napkin to get an imprint of the mark that Hennessy saw on Isabel's wrist, then calls Beeman to get him to look into the mark. Afterwards, John and Angela head to the hospital where Isabel had jumped from. Angela continues her story about how Isabel used to tell their family about the things she was seeing and then suddenly stopped talking for a year. She's been in and out of the psych ward ever since. John believes that Isabel left something behind in her room that only Angela can find, so he forces her to figure it out. Angela eventually remembers how she and Isabel used to leave messages on the window and finds that Isabel has written Corinthians 17 on there. They head to Beeman's bowling alley while calling him to ask about the verse. Beeman explains that the verse most likely refers to how Satan's son, the demon named Mammon, is planning to cross over to the human realm by possessing a powerful psychic and using God's help. Unfortunately, demons start attacking Beeman as he tells John that he has faith in him, just before a fly crawls out of his eye. John and Angela hurry to Beeman's place but it's too late, he's already dead and covered in flies. Back in John's apartment, Angela admits that she used to be able to see the supernatural just like her sister. However, she never admitted it to anyone, and as she aged, she eventually stopped seeing things. She feels guilty for abandoning Isabel and wishes she could see what she saw again. John instructs her to submerge herself in the bathtub so she can visit hell. Nothing happens at first, but when she starts losing her breath, John forces her to stay under. Eventually, she's able to visit hell and returns shortly after. This seems to have shaken her and reawakened her suppressed powers. Angela mutters how she has always known where to look for criminals before she frantically returns to Beeman's bowling alley. There she finds Balthazar's coin on the floor, prompting John to prepare to kill the half-breed demon. John blasts his way to Balthazar's office and begins to fight him. He gains the upper hand and threatens to banish Balthazar unless he admits how Mammon will cross into the human realm. Balthazar finally admits that Mammon plans to use Jesus' blood that's on the spear of destiny and that the powerful psychic to be possessed is Angela. John blasts Balthazar to ashes and leaves with Angela, but before Balthazar disintegrates, he begs to be revived by another demon in the room. However, the demon just watches him waste away. In the hallway, John and Angela discuss the spear before she suddenly gets pulled by an invisible force through the walls and out of the building, unable to be reached by John. He immediately comes to Midnight's office and demands to use the chair. Midnight refuses to take a side, but John asks for his help as his final dying request. They head to the basement where the chair that was used for electrocuting death row prisoners is located and prepares for the ritual. Midnight lights up a broken light bulb and stabs John with it. John sees the man who had found the Spear of Destiny and how he has come to Los Angeles to deliver it to a room full of half-breed demons. John gets strangled and tells Midnight to get him out of the vision. Suddenly, they are met by Chaz, who has snuck in and proceeds to help make special bullets for John as they discuss his plan on saving Angela. Chaz mentions that half-breed demons are washed by holy water, earning him some respect from John and Midnight. As John and Chaz drive to the hospital, Angela falls into the pool where Isabel died and sees the man carrying the spear. She tries to shoot him, but it has no effect as he pursues her. John and Chaz arrive at the hospital and split up. Chaz goes to the water reservoir to turn it into holy water while John breaks into a room full of half-breeds and threatens to banish them. The sprinklers turn on, spraying holy water on all of them before John shoots them one by one. After the demons are dead, he and Chaz head to the pool where Angela is being drowned by the man, transporting her to hell where she gets possessed by Mammon. When the duo arrives, the man is dead and Angela has been possessed. John tries to exorcise her, which only works for a moment before Mammon tries to get out of her stomach. Chaz joins John in the exorcism chant, finally stabilizing her condition. Unfortunately, Chaz gets thrown at the ceiling into the floor, killing him in front of John. In grief, John continues the exorcism before Gabriel drops in from the roof and stops him. It turns out that she has been working with Mammon all along. She wants humanity to suffer the rule of hell so that they would be worthy of God's love in the end. Gabriel blows John back, smashing him into a glass door before she grabs the spear. In desperation, he prays for God's help but changes his mind, instead slitting his wrists using a broken piece of glass. He waits as Gabriel is about to stab Angela and unleash Mammon, but then time comes to a stop. Lucifer himself has come to collect John's soul, but John tells him about what's happening in the other room. At first, Lucifer doesn't believe him until he goes to see for himself. He grabs Mammon, who is still in Angela's body, and taunts Gabriel. She tries to smite Lucifer but realizes that she lost her angelic powers before she is thrown back by the heavenly force while Lucifer returns his son to hell. He leaves Angela's body there before returning to John, asking the exorcist what he wants in return for informing him of Mammon. Instead of asking for a life extension, John asks for Isabel to be transported into heaven. Lucifer obliges before he proceeds to bring John's soul to hell. However, while he drags John's body, it suddenly becomes too heavy for him to move. It turns out that God has seen his request to save Isabel's soul as the ultimate sacrifice and welcomes John to heaven. Lucifer wants John's soul, so he forces John to continue living by grabbing all the tar and cancer from inside his lungs, saving his life. John wakes up and reunites with Angela before they see Gabriel emerge from the pool. She's now human and urges John to kill her for revenge. John decides to only punch her, introducing her to experience pain. He leaves with Angela and they head to the rooftop, where John gives her the Spear of Destiny to hide where nobody can find it. He says he has a lot to sort out, so Angela tells him she'll see him again sometime before leaving. So what do you think about the movie? Let me know in the comment below. Like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys on next video.